Welcome back to the SplitScreen Gaming Podcast! In the left corner we have Chad Michael Innes. In the right corner we have
Holden DePardo.
And tonight they're gonna fight until each other's eyes turn to jelly and toast to 2018 being a great year. That's what the toast will be.
So far, that was, so we're gonna fight
hold
and
on,
then we're
I'm
gonna
not done
celebrate.
with the intro, and this is the Occasionally Weekly Podcast where two friends and
Three friends.
somebody's home. Somebody's home, you guys. Everybody go check your door because somebody's waiting. It's going to be a good episode.
That was almost like,
episode.
is your refrigerator running?
Okay, do you remember the show Drake and Josh?
Of course.
Okay. In high school, I had a girl who was really big in the dancing community. She was a dancer, and so she had also been like an extra on a few shows. But her best friend was dating Drake Bell's best friend.
Ooh.
So she had Drake Bell's phone number, and she gave me Drake Bell's phone number so we could prank call him. So 2 years later, fast forward, he didn't pick up or anything like that whenever we called him. Fast forward 2 years later to college, we're intoxicated at a Sonic, and I say, guys, I have Drake Bell's phone number. Call him. He answers, and I don't know what to say, so I say, is your refrigerator running? And he hangs up.
How many phone calls do you think he gets like that?
Probably not very many.
If he hung up immediately, he might have heard that before.
No, I doubt it.
You
It was
don't
a number
think so?
he didn't recognize, and
Well, do you want a question you should have asked him?
what should I have asked him?
What games are you playing this week, Chad?
Oh, and I'll start our first time code. Good question, Holden. Let me think about that. What's the right
think
answer to
about
that
that?
question?
There's only one right answer. It's the game you've been playing
There
this
are
week.
4 right answers, Holden. One of them is,
Wow.
of course, our game of the month, which
Which is Earthbound.
Earthboundio, if you are from Guatemala.
No, that's not how it works.
No, that was the Guatemalan release name. You know, it was Mother 2 in Japan, Earthbound in America, and everywhere else. And then in Guatemala, it was Earthboundio.
You can just picture the Nintendo meeting like someone's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever, ship it out." Are you, Reggie? I have a question about that one.
Reggie did not exist back then. He
Yes, he
was
did.
born a 35-year-old man. And he only was born 10 years ago. He's 45, right? That sounds right. Also, Tom was over last night, played a little bit of Cuphead.
Fun.
Forgot, yeah, that game's just great. Just great. But then I played 2 other things for the first time. Did you play the Dissidia Final Fantasy open beta?
No.
It's all right. You have 2 more chances with different characters to play. I played that for about 45 minutes. About 41 minutes of that was doing all the goddamn tutorials.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
Holy shit.
I think the first game I played had way too many tutorials, and it almost deterred me from the game. But then I played the game and it was good.
But I realized why it has so many tutorials, and it's
a complex
because
system.
there are way too many goddamn systems going on in this game. So many. First of all, it's not the traditional fighter where, hey, I hit you and that takes away from your life. It is, I'm going to do bravery attacks, which don't damage you at all, but they take away from your bravery and add to mine. And then I'm going to use that bravery to do that same amount of damage to you using a
that's
health
right.
attack. And then
That is
aside
the
from
same.
that...
That is the
yeah.
same as it was before, yeah.
Yes, and then aside from that, you also have I have 2 special powers that I also have to wait for them to recharge so that I can use those. But again, those don't do damage attacks. And then you have summons, which are another waiting for them to recharge, and they show up and you attack them, kind of like the Smash Ball and Smash Bros. Brawl. And then, of course, you have to sit there and hold the touchpad while you summon them. And you have all of that while managing a 3v3 battle, and it's too much. It's too much, Holden. I couldn't keep up with it. And
I don't think they had 3v3 battles in the PSP version.
Oh, no, the PSP versions were definitely
just-
one-on-one.
Yeah, one-on-one, and that worked. I liked that game a lot. I was
It was
also a lot
just-
younger, so my judgment on games was not as strong
true.
as it is now.
That's
so.
true. Yeah, there's way too many things going on. And, I mean, if you're in a fighting community and Japanese people typically like more complex... I'm not going to make some hasty generalizations, but I'm about to make a hasty generalization. They like more complex gaming systems because us Westerners like our
It's
kind
more of a-
very easy... like simple to understand. I just want to go in and shoot things because I'm an
It's
American.
meaner to Westerners than it is to Japanese
It
people.
is. It
So we're
is.
saying Japanese people are smart enough that they can handle
They're a more
that.
advanced culture. They don't have guns.
They don't have guns?
But also, just in general, like, the movement speed. I feel like it's a game that's all about, like, you are these Final Fantasy characters, and you're going to slice and dice and kill and murder. And then it's like, oh, also you don't kill people. They become incapacitated. But it's like the movement speed
So no
is so
fatalities
slow.
in Dissidia? You don't,
No
rip Cloud's spine out?
Finish him. No. So in general, I'm like, well, I'm really glad I didn't pay for this and I played the beta instead. Because it doesn't seem like it's a, like... oh, I played the beta, and there were a couple of things, they might be able to fix that, but no, it was like the core mechanics of the game that it was like, I understand why people might like this, but it's not for me. It's too much going on.
Yeah, I would rather play the old version again, because that's the one I remember. I don't feel like paying $60 to get another version of this game. I don't know. Yeah. I don't have a huge like lust for Final Fantasy characters that I would want to play a Final Fantasy fighting game.
Well, you've got 2 more weekends to try it out, just in case you feel like lusting again.
Nope.
And then I played one more thing. I played Doom VFR.
Oh, how was that?
I liked it a lot.
Did you play the original Doom at all?
I did play the original Doom. I guess I played it on the graphic calculator TI-89.
I guess what I meant is, have you played the new Doom on PS4?
On a PC. I did not play anything aside from the demo on PS4.
Okay.
But I did play this one.
Highly recommend it.
This was great too. It
Mm-hmm.
was. I thought moving was going to be weird, but you have all sorts of different movement patterns, just like every good VR game has now. Just in case to kind of.
So, you can teleport. You can also walk around and move.
Yeah, you can teleport, or you can move the thumbstick.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I was under the impression that it was only teleporting, and I'm like, that doesn't work for me because
that's all that's on by default. Yeah.
I prefer the moving around when playing Doom and kind of ducking into a corner, getting out, and I feel like the warping would kind of break that a little bit. But.
The default that turned on, and this is what the industry as a whole seems to have settled on for right now, is teleportation and the pie chart kind of spinning and rotating, like you rotate in degrees. But of course there are so many options. So I turned off the pie chart thing. I turned on regular movement, but also you have the option to teleport as well while you're moving.
Yeah.
Just because if you've experienced a little bit more VR and you're comfortable with it, then you can take that, and it's a little bit more pleasurable of a gameplay experience. But that game is so fast-paced, the opposite of Dissidia. So fast-paced, running and gunning, and this one allows you teleport into somebody to have them explode whenever they're flashing that blue. I'm sure you remember that mechanic from the game.
Oh, that's
where
cool.
You
I
run
like that.
them. Yeah.
That's very cool.
So yeah, I've played kind of like the first level of that. Played for like 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Very, very interested. Definitely going to do it again. I'll continue that game. I bought that game for money, so I've paid money for this. I have to play it.
You have to play it now. Because there's never been a game you bought and didn't complete.
That's the least true thing you've ever said.
About you? Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know anyone who buys every game they beat. Beats every game they buy.
Every game I beat, I buy
it. I steal it, I beat it, and then I go buy the game.
And they're like,
hey,
oh, that was worth money. Retroactively, I can see that was worth money, so I'll give the developers money. So those are the 4 things I played. Holden, the fuck you play?
I played 2 games.
You played Tomb Raider games?
2 games.
You played which 2 games?
I don't know yet. I'm trying to decide. It's a tough question. No, so I played the game of the month, Earthbound, played that a little bit. So I won't say anything because we'll wait to the end of the month to talk about that.
Do you know about how far in it you are?
I'm actually not as far as I'd like to be. I'm at this point past where I was when you were playing it last year.
Which town are you in?
So like Twanson or something like that. I'm really early in the game. Tucson, yeah.
It's Onet, O-N-E, Onet, Tucson, Threed, and Fourside.
Oh,
for town 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Also,
okay.
Did you read the sign on Tucson?
No, I didn't.
The sign that says, "Our name is Tucson because we weren't first." But enough about Earthbound. You're very far behind.
I'm very far behind. I can beat it in time. I'm not worried about that. But I'm playing The Witness on iPad. I got it on iPad.
Oh, that game that I wasn't fond of. I appreciate it, but it's not for me.
Yeah, I mean, you don't like puzzle games, so it's not like you'd be like, this is not the puzzle game to sway anybody on puzzle games.
I enjoy puzzles when they're a smaller mechanic in another game.
Oh, it is a very small mechanic that takes up the entirety of the whole game.
Witness on iPad. I imagine, man, I bet that's gorgeous on like a 12.9-inch iPad Pro.
Oh, I bet it is too. On an iPad Air, however, because I have iPad Air from a few years ago.
I bet that game is like melting your iPad.
It doesn't look fantastic. Actually, it's funny is I have an iPhone 7 and I have an iPad Air. I started on my iPhone 7, and I'm like, this looks really, really nice.
Yeah.
It plays super smooth. The screen's just a little small. I'll put it on my iPad, and it will also look really nice and play very smoothly. And it hasn't, but it's not been so bad that I can't play it. I actually still prefer playing it on iPad.
Okay.
And there's one reason I love playing this game on iPad. For people who don't know what The Witness is, you're on this island, and you're the only life on the island. You're just kind of walking around and solving these line puzzles that in some way are, in some way reflect what is happening on the island. So you might have like an apple tree, and the branches, and they branch out. One of the branches has an apple on it. That turns out that's the solution to the puzzle right next to it. So there's some sort of like element that combines with the island. And
I'm glad you explained that. I'm sure everyone has a much better understanding after that explanation. Like, oh, I get it. The branches that branch out with the apple.
Well, no, I'm saying like there's something on the island that correlates to the puzzle you're about to solve. So you see a tree,
joking.
it looks like the tree on the line puzzle.
I'm joking.
So
you did great. I'm proud of you.
You're just making fun of me because I'm very easy to make fun of.
No, you're doing wonderful, Holden. Keep going. Keep going.
Thanks, Chad. I can do it. So the reason it's great on iPad is that I can take a screenshot on the iPad, and then I can draw on the screenshot to test solutions out. And it's worked really, really well.
Nice.
I'm at one right now where there are shadows that line up on top of the line puzzle, and you have to solve it in a way that avoids the shadow. And then it gets more complicated where the shadow is to the left of the puzzle, and it doesn't line up on top of the puzzle itself. So you have to kind of interpret the shadows to what you're going to do on the line puzzle. And in this particular one, it's on 3 boards, all of which are skewed a little bit. So it's really hard to tell which lines line up. So I took a screenshot, and I was drawing lines to connect the different shadows, so I had a better idea of what I was trying to solve. And it's made the game a lot more approachable, but it is still very hard.
Haven't you beat this game before?
I have, and I'm actually having fun with it.
You didn't memorize all of the puzzles?
No, I did not at all. I'm actually having a really hard time with areas that I've done and completed before. It's a very, very clever game. And playing it again, too, I have a much better appreciation. Girl. Clever girl. Great Jurassic Park reference.
Thank you.
The world design's incredible in this game. It's so good, just how well everything ties together. And there's also, this is kind of a spoiler, but it's been out for a while now, so you guys are hearing a spoiler. You don't have anything. You have no say. There are these puzzles that are part of the world itself. So you might look up in the sky, and there's a cloud that looks just kind of like a puzzle would. So you can actually draw on that and solve it. And I just have a better eye for that now. So I'm able just to be like, oh, there's a puzzle right there, and there's a puzzle right there. And I'm just having fun walking around the island and finding the little puzzles. It's just actually a little more entertaining. And I also like just doing it on iPad. It's really great doing this on a touchscreen device.
Yeah.
It feels like it was made for iPad.
Is it joysticks that you're moving around with?
That's my downside.
Yeah.
When you're solving the puzzles, it's made for iPad. When you're navigating, I really want a controller so badly because you're not using joysticks, not even using virtual joysticks. You're doing like the tap to walk forward and then swiping around. And some of the areas are pretty narrow where you're in, and it just doesn't work as well. I've gotten used to it, and it doesn't bother me. It by no means disrupts the experience. There is one positive side to that, though. You can look at something really far out and then just tap it and then just be like, okay, I'm just going to wait until I walk there now. I don't have to do anything. So that's kind of nice. There's one point where
I always love a good time where you can just tap on the game and then not play the game that you bought.
Well, no. Here's an example. I was in this jungle area. I solved this puzzle, and then this platform raised up, and I didn't know how to get back to the other side of that blockade again. So I just kind of positioned myself in a way that I could see the other side of the blockade, and I just tapped over there, and then just waited as my character walked around most of the map to get back to that point. It was nice. So I've been playing The Witness. If you haven't played The Witness and you're curious about it, start on iPad. It is I think a fourth of the price, and I think it's probably the better way to play it if you're curious about it.
Cool.
So yeah.
I wanted to mention one more thing about Doom VFR real quick.
Oh, Chad,
I have this
had
issue.
your time to talk.
Oh my god! I had this issue where the HUD kind of doesn't fit within my viewing angle.
Ooh.
So, like, if I want, like, the mission objective comes up, like, way far to my left eyeball. And, of course, if I turn my head, it turns with me. So I can't actually see it because it's tracking onto my helmet.
But that would have been cool if you did look over and it did show up. That would have been kind of cool. But the opposite, that's terrible.
Right,
it's really bad.
So I'm, like, looking super to the left, and it's kind of blurry, and it's a little bit outside of... So, I mean, I could, like, Google it, but if somebody else has had that same issue and they figured out a way to fix it, because I looked in the settings and I couldn't find anything, like, tweet me at SplitScreen GP or at InnisChadMike.
I won't, because I don't have an answer for you.
Holden, what the fuck are you even doing here? Oh, man. Holden, tell me you have all sorts of nudies.
I have lots of news stories this week.
Tell me about two of your nudies.
So I do want to talk about how the Nintendo Direct got announced, because that happened. But I want to segue into our discussion on that once we get there.
Can we talk about that at the end of our nudies?
Yeah, that's what I meant, yeah.
Nice.
So... here's something that wasn't announced at the Direct that I was very excited about, and I didn't think I'd be excited about it, and I feel stupid being excited about this game. Do you know what it is? Can you take a guess?
Detective Pikachu?
Yes.
Me too!
Okay, cool. So at first I watched the trailer for this game, and it's this little kid looking at a Pikachu, and Pika's going, Pika, 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 and I'm like, oh god, this looks horrible. And then this other Pikachu with the detective hat starts talking like he's been smoking for 15 years. Like, hey, did you confuse me with that Pikachu? And I'm like, oh my god, this game's amazing. I really want to play this. So I did not expect that at all. It looks pretty fantastic. It looks like a kid's game, but it looks really fun. I don't know what. The personality of Pikachu is what sold me on that.
It does, and I love all the like detective shit that it looks like you're doing in the trailer. Two things I don't like. One, why is it on 3DS?
I know. Please be
all
on
the
Switch.
Character models look like they're just covered in Vaseline, and it's gross. Two, that ginormous ass Detective Pikachu amiibo. Did you see it?
I didn't see it was ginormous. I saw it. Is it huge?
It's huge. It's like 3 or 4 times taller than other amiibos. It's like the size of this cup. It's the size of my head. Because I obviously
can't
saw
imagine putting that on top of a 3DS to tap the amiibo.
I know, right? It's a little ridiculous. Did they give a release date on that at all?
Just March for right now.
Just March.
But I'm excited.
Spoilers for the Direct. And at first I was like, why did they announce this the day after the Direct? And I was like, oh, it's 3DS, and the Direct was all Switch shit.
Yep, which is a positive. We'll get to that, though.
Yeah.
The other thing that kind of correlates is there's a Pikachu 2DS XL now coming to the West.
Oh, yeah.
Looks pretty cool. Looks nice. Pikachu's kind of like his little nose, it sticks out.
Did you see the 3DS, like the picture of my 3DS that I showed you?
Yeah, that's a big bummer.
Yeah, all of on the backside of it, from like on both sides. With
is it really on both sides?
It's on both sides. It's identical on both sides because my
You've
palms,
been playing the shit out of Earthbound.
I guess so. But it's like the gold leafing, I guess, for the Majora's Mask edition is peeling
I'm
off.
honestly surprised because I'm going to take a guess here that I play my 3DS a lot more often than you do.
I guess sweaty palms run in my family.
I have sweaty palms too. I got sweaty hands.
Yeah, but do you always wear gloves when you play it? You look like the Dickie Roberts type.
Yes, I wear gloves every time I play my video games.
Oh, hey, let's stick with Pikachu for a little bit.
You got more Pikachu news?
I do have more Pikachu news. I just wanted to point out that because I'm an addict, hi, my name is Chad Michaelinis, and I play Pokemon Go every day of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to point out a kind of cool thing that Pokemon Go is doing, and they are once a month going to have a community day, and there will be a special type of Pokemon that is available for a stretch of a few hours, and everywhere all over the world, anyone who plays, they'll be able to see that Pokemon more and catch it, and special things will happen. It'll know its exclusive move, and get this, the first one happens next weekend.
And it's Detective Pikachu.
It's Pikachu, but this Pikachu will know Surf. Get it?
Because Pokemon Yellow, he could learn Surf or something?
Because Pokemon Yellow is a throwback to surfing Pikachu.
Did he just swim behind you, or did he actually
there was like
surf?
there was like a surf. I never actually did it myself, but I know that there was a big rumor in that one, and I think there was like a mini game you could play, where you could have, there's like a surfing game in there that wasn't in red and blue, and Pikachu could play. So it's a little tribute to Pokemon Yellow, surfing Pikachu.
Interesting.
I'm going to look into that. And
just because I have a topic that relates to Pokemon Go, you might already have this.
I don't think I have any other Go stuff.
This is, I think, pretty big for Pokemon Go. They're dropping support for devices that can't run iOS 11.
Good.
And I don't think it's because of the AR kit that iOS 11 has. They've said as much, basically. They've said they're adding improvements in the next update that are just too much for an iPhone 5 or earlier, or an iPad 4th gen and earlier. So just thought that was worthwhile.
I support that, and I support not only because, first of all, it takes advantage of new hardware and lets them do cool things when they're able to leave behind people who have 7-year-old 1,000 devices.
Yeah.
But it also, have you ever seen Pokemon Go run on an Android phone?
No.
So Tom has an Android phone, and I have an iPhone. And anytime we'd go out, it's like a frame per second. Like trying to, like the Pokeball as you like kind of curve it or throw it. It's like so stuttery. It's awful. It's terrible, and it sucks down his battery life super bad. So I am supportive of leaving behind those older devices, which isn't too old. It's still 5S and higher.
iPhone 5S is, that's 2013?
If you're playing on 5C, get the fuck out.
I just thought that was worth mentioning, so I don't want to take away from your news. You can now share news, Chad.
Oh, you're so nice. You're going to deplete all my news so quick because you have so much more than I do. You say one. I'm lost. I'm looking at news, but I'm not actually reading the stories that I'm looking at, so go.
So this is not from the Direct itself, but it's kind of related. Dark Souls Remaster is coming to Switch, of course, but it's also coming to PS4, Xbox One.
Yeah.
And it's going to be 1080p on Switch, PS4, and Xbox One, but the Switch version will be 30 frames per second as opposed to 60 on the PS4 and Xbox One. However, if you have a Pro or you have an Xbox One X, you're going to play this game at 4K.
4,000 Ks.
That's ginormous. That's way bigger than 4K.
So many Ks.
That's going to be gorgeous. It's going to be great. Very happy to see this game's coming out.
Me too.
Anyway.
Me too. I am torn though. Like, it's gonna have 4K upscale or upres graphics, but the textures themselves, I don't believe, are actually getting.
Yeah, they've said they've
new
not
textures
changed the
and
assets.
character models. So I'm like, is it worth it to play that 60 frames a second on my PS4, or do I get this on the Switch?
I think this is a Switch game because I just can't wait to play this like on the go, or like, I want to lay in bed and play some Dark Souls. I don't know. You know me. Anytime I have the opportunity to buy something multi-platform, I will always go, Switch first.
Yeah, and it's May, right? So I'll be hurting for some Switch stuff by then.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have some stuff to talk about. But
maybe.
It's also coming to PC as well, and this has kind of upset some people because they're charging their customers for the remaster, whereas like Skyrim just gave the special edition to anyone who had bought Skyrim before on PC.
I think that's what they did with BioShock as well.
Yeah. What makes it worse is that when they first put up the announcement for Dark Souls on PC, they said 50% off if you bought the game before, and then that just disappeared, and they go, oh yeah, no, that's not happening.
Oh, no.
So I think at the very least they need to make it up and give it away for 50% off, at the very least, because it's kind of ridiculous. They're going to sell a ton of this on Switch. They're going to sell a ton of it on PS4 and Xbox One. It will make its money back. It's also an update. It's not like if they changed the assets, if they did a lot of legwork on it, it'd be fine. They are improving the multiplayer, but that's not really a huge jump. Whereas Skyrim Remaster was huge. That was a big jump up, technically speaking. So
cool. Hey, I found a story.
You found a story?
Speaking of remasters from previous generation consoles, Assassin's Creed Rogue Remastered finally got officially announced.
Yes,
we saw a rumor for it. We've talked about it a little bit, but now it is officially coming to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One on March 20th from Ubisoft. I found it interesting, that since Ubisoft has been, kind of supporting the Switch. They made Mario Rabbids, which has been a runaway success.
Yeah.
But they didn't have this. It's a PS3 and Xbox 360 game.
That's a good point.
So I don't see why it wouldn't run on a Switch.
Very good point.
Nevertheless, coming out March 20th, that same week of everything else in the world. So that's coming. And Assassin's Creed Rogue, that was the one that came out same time as Unity. But Unity was for new consoles, Rogue was for old ones. So a lot of people didn't play Rogue. Apparently it was the better of the two that year as well.
Yeah, I did hear that. Because they wanted to release two, because I think at that point the PS4 and Xbox One were still pretty new.
One more rumor about a Switch port.
Ooh.
South Park for Nintendo Switch has been listed by an Aussie retailer, Sanity. I really like this article from Press Start. Press Start is the name of the publication that I found it on. And a lot of times they were like, I'll read some of this. This one seems like a no-brainer, but still to be taken with a grain of salt at the moment. Aussie retailer Sanity, parentheses, who even knew they still existed, let alone sold games, parentheses, have listed South Park. Like, this weird offshoot Australian game retailer. Like, well, I don't know why they're important. But that game might be coming out March 13th, it looks like, if they are to be believed, which is another Ubisoft game supporting Switch. So that's exciting because that's a fantastic game, and I think all kids should play it.
I actually wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo let that on their system because they do want to break that we're just for kids, and I can't think of anything else that breaks that we're only for kids than South Park.
I don't know. Fucking murdering Nazis and that Hitler scene in Wolfenstein 2 is a pretty good one too.
Yeah. But I guess when a parent thinks of things my kid shouldn't watch, they don't think of Wolfenstein. They think of South Park or Grand Theft Auto or something like that.
You're right. Although I have publicly stated on here that my parents let me watch South Park as a kid, but I was not allowed to watch Beavis and Butthead or Ren and Stimpy.
Oh, I have so many questions for you after we record this podcast because that makes no sense whatsoever. That's really funny. Yep. There are some intelligent aspects to South Park. I don't like that show, but there's definitely some smart humor in that show for sure.
Definitely.
I can admit to that. Do you want me to go next?
Yes, I want you to go next.
Oh my gosh. So, let's see here. I think this is really awesome. Have you heard of the Ultra Game Boy? Have you heard of this? Ultra Game Boy.
Is that the new thing that was at CES?
Yeah.
Yeah. It plays carts, not ROMs or anything like that?
Yep. So it emulates Game Boy games, and you have to put the cartridge in it. It looks just like a Game Boy used to. It has a backlit screen, and it's aluminum. So it's going to be, like, I guess, higher quality than a plastic Game Boy was, which is pretty cool. It's still a black and white screen, which I kind of feel like I want to play some Game Boy Color games.
Is it black and white, not black and green?
So I'm confused on that. It is black and white, but they said on the final version they're going to have an RGB color tint slider. Which means, if you say RGB, I'm expecting colors, but they mean you're going to be able to change the tint of the screen.
I wonder if that's like, if you ever played Pokemon Red or Blue on a Game Boy Color, how like the whole game is, instead of being black and white, it's red and white or blue and white.
Oh, I didn't know they did that. That's kind of cool.
You didn't know that?
Yeah, I had no idea.
Or like yellow version, how they like change every town is a different color.
It's going to be less than $100, is what they've said.
Yeah.
Which, that's pretty compelling. I'm not going to lie. That's pretty compelling. And
if you can find Game Boy cartridges.
You can find some, I'm sure. There's some retro gaming stores. You can buy them on eBay and stuff. Whether they work or not, that's kind of be really shitty if you got one on eBay and it doesn't have a battery anymore or something like that.
Yep. But
my favorite feature about this, because I'm a dork, is it charges off of USB-C, which just makes me so happy because everything should be USB-C.
I agree. Anytime I buy a new product now and it has micro USB in it, I take that cable.
They failed.
And I charge my thing with it because I have no other choice.
So that's an important news story, I think. I think it's very cool. I bet.
We'll see how relevant that is when it finally comes out and Game Boy Color Classic has been already released by Nintendo.
In that case, I would buy that instead.
Yeah, it's cheaper, has ROMs loaded on it.
It'll have a backlit screen that's probably also color.
Yeah.
And it better charge off USB-C because the Switch does. And if they put micro USB on that thing, I would seriously buy the Ultra instead. Simply just because of USB-C. I want it. I want it. Go for it, Chad.
Oh, yeah. For the first time in 11 years, this comes from Kotaku, the Japanese console game market has grown. Year after year for the last over a decade, every single year, Japanese hardware sales have been down. And this, for the first time, it has grown. And a lot of that has been due to the PS4 being super successful and the Nintendo Switch's obvious, amazing, record-setting sales. The last time that they saw a positive uptick was in 2006, and that was when the DS Lite, the Nintendo Wii, and the PS3 launched. So it's pretty telling. I think that's super exciting. And also, remember, consoles are dead. Console gaming is dead.
They are so dead. They're so dead, in fact, that over the holiday season, the PlayStation 4 sold 6 million units, and it was in third place. That's very telling. I don't think that's not a bad sign for Sony. 6 million is a ton of units to sell in a holiday season.
A tundra of units.
The only reason Xbox outpaced them is because they had a new console out, and Switch outpaced them because it's the Switch, and it's just been dominating this year.
Yeah.
So that's good for them.
Dominatrix Switch.
Yep.
Shixagatus.
I'm a dominate Switch. I just dominate Switch games. That's what that means, right?
Look at you. You were branching out.
Branching out. Playing
New
Switch
careers.
games is so new for me.
No, dominating the Switch.
No, I
sex work is hard work, and it is real work, and it is nothing to be laughed at.
Someone has to do it.
They work. It is a living, and it's not easy. Unless you're just really good at it, and then it might be easy.
I do what I love. I do what I'm good at. And
exactly.
Being a dominatrix, yeah.
So we talked last week, I think it was last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, about how I want 343 to do something new, kind of in the vein of Guerrilla Games doing Horizon and Last of Us coming from Naughty Dog. And while it might not be something completely new, 343 Industries has said that Halo 6 will not be seen this year. Their quote from the community manager on the 343 blog says, 2018 has arrived, and with it, the promise of fun new times to be had and adventures to be embarked upon. No, not those adventures. And then from IGN it says, seemingly a reference to mainline Halo games. But plenty of exciting ones regardless, some of which might surprise you more than others. I think what this might be, I think it was like 2 or 3 months ago, there was a very brief 5-minute Halo HoloLens demo where you could basically like just go look at grunts and things like that in augmented reality. But I have a feeling, yeah, it was not something super in depth. But I think this might be either a way for them to branch out and make something in the Halo universe that's a little bit different, or maybe this is us seeing their AR, mixed reality, whatever it is, offering, or hopefully something new that they've been working on the side. So keep an eye out for that. We'll probably see something about it at E3 this year. Tell me something, because I only have like 2 stories left.
I have a lot of stories left.
I'm burning through all my stories.
So I'll go through a bunch of kind of small ones here. So
okay.
For one, we have Sea of Thieves getting a closed beta in 2 weeks, which the only reason I'm excited about is cool. People will play it, and they can finally tell us what you actually do.
I can't wait to play that. Hold on. What are the dates of that? I'm going to write it down
I just have it 2 weeks. I don't have the actual specific dates for it right now.
What kind of a journalist are you?
I'm not a journalist. There's your answer.
I'll Google it. I'll probably miss it.
So I just want to know what this game is like. I'm dying to know, because every time they show, they're like, you're a pirate. Great. What does that really mean in terms of being a game, though?
I know.
So curious to see that.
I mean, people seem like they're having fun when they played at trade shows and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Whatever. Fuck that game.
I want it to be fun. I want Microsoft to succeed, but that game just looks
It's also from Rare, and Rare makes good games. So
well,
they have a good history.
Well,
I will
continue, and I'll look up their last few games and tell them.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, because since they've been bought by Microsoft, they have really been making Kinect shovelware. So
I mean, they made Donkey Kong Country series, and they made
Banjo-Kazooie
and Banjo-Kazooie. But I'm gonna let you know what they've made recently.
One of them is Kinect Sports. I know that.
Yep.
Kinect Sports, which was classic. That will go down in history, just like Donkey Kong Country. So while you're looking up that, a company that hasn't released a game in a while, but we know what game they have, and they need to talk about it, is CD Projekt Red, and they haven't said anything. They literally just tweeted beep. They tweeted beep on the Cyberpunk 2077 Twitter account, their most recent tweet in 4 years. To me, that means they're going to be showing this game off, or at least talking about it more this year. If they did that and they did nothing all year, they'd be assholes.
I didn't realize how long ago it was that we first heard about this game.
Yeah, it's been it was since, I think, before The Witcher came out is when we first heard about it. And that game's been out for a while now.
2012.
So there's that. And actually, I have all Xbox stuff after this. Go for it.
I'm going to just mention what Rare's been doing since they were purchased by Xbox.
I want to hear this.
They've been
Chad, shut up. I want to hear this.
Okay.
Oh, you can go now.
Conquer, Live and Reloaded. They did Cameo, Elements of Power. I've actually seen that. They did Perfect Dark Zero, which was an
360
okay
launch
game.
title.
Perfect Dark Zero was also a 360 launch title. Viva Pinata. The DS
I've
port
heard that's
of
not a
Diddy Kong
terrible
Racing.
game. People who played it, I think, liked it. I think.
Okay. Viva Pinata, Diddy Kong Racing DS, which, you know what? I look back on Diddy Kong Racing on N64, and I'm like, damn, I had a lot of fun playing that game. But then everyone shits on the game. It's like, was I just 8? And I probably was, yeah, just 8.
It's because Mario
they did
Kart.
Jetpack Refueled. They also did Viva Pinata Trouble in Paradise, Viva Pinata Pocket Paradise, Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, Connect Sports Season 2, Killer Instinct Sports, or Connect Sports Rivals, Rare Replay, that's a win, and now Sea of Thieves. So they don't have
I'll be honest, it's not as bad as I
hit track record. Yeah,
No,
reading
but
that was a little more positive than I thought. But
it was more positive than I thought. Yeah, I mean, Killer Instinct I haven't played, but I know they've been supporting that consistently, which means it has a following. Did you play the new Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts?
No, it was much more of I think it was like a puzzle game, and new is relative because I think that's still
newer Banjo-Kazooie game, the newest
still 2008
Banjo-Kazooie game. God, 10 years ago.
They actually Wikipedia describes that as a vehicle construction game.
I do remember that. I remember them talking about you can construct vehicles. I have 3 more.
But that's
news
nothing
stories.
compared to their Donkey Kong Country 2, 3. Ken Griffey Jr.'s winning run Super NES game. God, I forgot about that.
I've never even heard of that before. Are you joking or are you being serious?
No! Ken Griffey, you're out! Oh, God. That baseball on SNES. Yeah, it was great. Battletoads.
Sports. Yeah, I don't do sports.
Sports. Deportes. Yeah, sorry. Keep going.
You're fine. I have 3 news stories. 2 are... Actually, they're all related to Xbox. 2 are pretty much the same thing, though.
Okay.
So, first one is that the Duke controller... Did you just text me too?
Yeah. Sorry, I just saw your text right now that you were ready to record.
So, Microsoft, you totally got me off track. The Xbox Duke controller, which is like the Xbox OG, the original Xbox controller, from Hyperkin, the same guys who are making the Ultra Game Boy, is going to be coming out for the Xbox One. It's going to be $70, and it's going to add a few buttons. It's going to have the left and right shoulder buttons, I believe.
Yeah,
bar
triggers
bumpers
on the original.
Yeah, and then they're going to have just like the menu and options buttons that are on an Xbox One because they have to be there.
You never had an Xbox, right? Original Xbox?
No, I had a 360. I didn't have.
Did you ever use the Duke?
I have used it. It's huge. It's massive.
Enormous.
And I think they're going back to the big one, not the smaller one they released later on.
Yeah, the smaller one. I think back then they called it the Xbox S controller or something like that.
Oh, really?
Like S was part of the thing. I had one of each, and the Duke was enormous.
I remember because I was younger at that point, I could barely hold it comfortably. It was just so
I don't know
huge.
how I did. As a kid, I played on it. I guess I enjoyed myself, but I don't know how I held on to that thing.
It's also going to have an OLED screen in the middle of it.
Why?
Just to show the Xbox logo and do the...
Just to make it the same cost as a regular controller? Like, guys, this is too cheap. We got to add something else.
No, it's going to play the original Xbox startup sound through that, I guess, when you turn it on. I don't know. It sounds strange. But I don't think they're going to have, like... I don't think it's a touchscreen where you can actually interact with it.
Gotcha.
The other 2 are updates to Xbox software. And one is only for the alpha testers.
Yeah, tell me about it.
And then, where's this energy coming from?
I don't know. Right before we started, I was yawning. I was like, oh, man, I'm getting sleepy. It's 6:30 at night.
It's because you're having fun. We're having fun doing
That's right.
this. This is all about fun. This is why I'm not a journalist. Just about the fun.
Journalism can be fun.
No, journalism is never fun.
Don't you remember yellow journalism from the Vietnam War? Vietnam War?
Spotlight made journalism very fun.
Oh, man, Spotlight. Have you seen The Post? The Post is also very excellent.
I'm going to see that. I haven't seen it yet. It's not here in shitty Rhode Island yet, so we don't get cool movies here.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, going back to this, there's the Alpha Ring testing group for Xbox. They kind of test out beta features first. And they're doing 2 tests right now that I think are actually very cool. They're doing something called Next Achievements, which is kind of just like saying, hey, we're going to show you the achievements that are coming up for you, like things you're close to getting. And then,
gotcha.
There's just something else about achievements coming up later on as well. Like you have a confused look on your face.
Yeah.
There's something else we're going to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it highlights achievements that you're close to completing. So it's like, hey, you need to get that 1000th headshot in this game. You're only, 100 away from that right now, or something like that. I'll let you know when you're getting closer. The other thing is a do not disturb function. So you can play a game and set your online status as, do not disturb me. I'm playing Sunset Overdrive, or I don't know, whatever you're playing right now.
Or watching a movie.
No, only playing Sunset Overdrive, Chad.
The do not disturb feature only works on Sunset Overdrive.
Yes. And other Insomniac games.
I've only had an Xbox One for a while, but I think one of the things about Xbox One achievements is they all have, regardless of game, like on a system level, they have a progress meter. Mm-hmm. So if you're like, oh man, this is get 100 kills with a machine gun, on the system dashboard you can see, oh, I've gotten 78 kills. So it tracks everything. So I think it's cool that it shows you, oh, well, this is the one you're closest to.
I think that's great.
That's cool.
That's a good addition. Honestly, if I was, because I think it was, this is such a random reference. I played, unfortunately, Resistance Burning Skies on the Vita. And it was the only game I've come close to platinuming. Because I went back.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, only because it's a really easy platinum. In my first playthrough, I only had to kill one bigger monster.
You haven't platinumed anything on PS4 yet?
No, nothing. I've never platinumed, because I don't go to...
I thought we got you the... No, that was Tim we got the platinum on Bloodborne. I thought...
No.
The amount that you played Bloodborne, you should have a platinum in that. You're close, man.
I don't think so, because I have to... I don't know. We'll look into that at some point.
You have to do the Chalice Dungeon stuff, and I think that's all you have left.
Yeah.
And then beating the boss with the umbilical cords.
Yep, that as well. Because I got to the boss, didn't eat the umbilical cords. I just had them in inventory still, because I'm awesome. So, what was I saying again? Yeah, so I had to kill one giant monster in Resistance Burning Skies, and I would have had the platinum for that game. I'm kind of glad I don't have the platinum for it, though, because it's been really lame to have that as my only platinum. Resistance Burning Skies, a really terrible shooter on the Vita. But, like, if I had gotten that notification saying, hey, you only have to do this one thing in this to get a platinum, at the younger age I was at the time, I probably would have gone in and gotten that. So it would have been nice to get... You didn't know that
you were that close to it?
No, I was looking at my achievements like later on at one point, and I saw like Resistance was like 99% or something. I'm like, really? And I went into it. It was just one thing I had to do. So anyway.
Idiot.
Other than that, there are some updates for Xbox that are coming to... Apparently are coming to everybody. This is not official, I don't think. I think this is unofficial. The career system with loot crates thing. Is this what you were talking about?
Yeah, that is like heavy rumor. Like it might not even be an active development kind of thing.
Yeah. So the idea with the career system is that it rewards players who want to play one game, basically.
Yeah, there was an interview a few months ago where they said, hey, there are people who, like with PUBG out now and things like that, they play one game. They play Overwatch. They play these
or
one
FIFA
things.
Or like Madden or something like that. People who play just those sports games.
And our achievement system isn't built for that kind of thing, so they don't see the reward from that. So they wanted to rework the way that they would do it. So as you mentioned, they now have options for loot boxes that will pop in depending on how many hours you've played this game, or they might have different weekly or monthly goals that you can have where, play this game and you'll get special achievements for the month of March or something like that.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a smart idea.
Yeah.
It'll keep their community engaged when there are people who would have been harder to keep would have been harder to keep them engaged because they only play the one thing. They don't play the 5 games that are on Game Pass that have the special achievements with them. They just want to play Call of Duty. They just want to play Halo.
And it could be that...
I'd say there are more players like
Destiny
that.
2, yeah. It can be that Destiny 2 type thing where it's like, hey, if you this week, like every week that you complete the Nightfall, the daily quests, and whatever the fuck, every time that you complete all of these things, you get an achievement that week. That way they completely keep building their gamer score. I think the reward system, too, is just another extension of a way that Microsoft is just making itself as a gaming community a better place this generation.
Yes. So
that's really cool to see, like avatar rewards or possibly like
so when
Microsoft points or things like that.
When I saw the headline, I was concerned because the headline was terrible. The headline was like, doing career systems, they'll have built-in loot crates. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, like that sounds awful. But it's actually not a bad idea. The idea is that like you do the certain things and they give you special glasses or hats for your avatar. That's the loot crate. It's not like it's changing a game you're playing or anything like that. It's just you can kind of personalize yourself. And when you go to see someone else's profile, then you can kind of say, oh, they do really well in Halo 5 because they have that Halo 5 special t-shirt that you get for playing 500 hours or something like that. I think it's very clever. And this is just another example where I said this in my predictions but like last week we talked about what Microsoft has to do is they have to highlight the things that they're doing to make their community better. Because everything you've told me, they have better things in their community. We just don't have as big of a community.
Yep.
So
I think it's really cool. Again, though, however, that is huge. Rumors. I'm sure it's been kicked around, but like it's something that they don't even know if it's in active development. But it's something that an idea that's been tossed
plausible. It sounds like I can see Phil Spencer getting on stage at E3 and saying, "Hey guys, we have this system," and laying it out. It seems very plausible.
Yeah. So
that's what I got for news stories, but we do have.
Hold on, I've got two more
news
stories. I've got two more.
I thought you said you were done. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I didn't say I was.
I'm so sorry, Chad. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Did you ever, as a kid, like make yourself cry so much that you were gonna throw up?
I was a very happy child, unlike you, apparently.
Shut up. No, you weren't. Life sucked for you. One I thought was just an impressive number. From basically Black Friday to the end of December, PlayStation 4 sold 5.9 million units.
I said that earlier.
You said 6 million, and you just kind of half-assedly said it, so I don't know if everyone caught it. So it's, as our PlayStation ambassador, I want to make sure that people know how great they're doing because we've talked about the Switch numbers for it seems like every week for the rest of time.
I really can't stand the Switch.
One more thing I wanted to read. Oh, 404 not found. Great. Well, I'll read the headline at least. So on GameSpot, there's an article that I guess doesn't exist anymore, maybe.
That's really funny.
Says, new PlayStation boss pledges support for single-player games. So as we all know, the CEO of PlayStation... Shit, I'm blanking on his name. He just stepped down.
Andrew House,
yes.
Yeah.
Andy House just stepped down. He's still at the company, just in a different role, a little bit more general role. But somebody else took over for him, who's been at the company for about a year now. And he's saying, hey, don't worry, now that I'm coming in, single-player games aren't going away. It's still very much our bread and butter at Sony Worldwide Studios.
Didn't someone find out that was a fake tweet, though?
I don't know. Maybe that's why it's not up.
Yeah,
I think it was an interview. No, I think it was an interview, not a tweet that came from.
That was a tweet. There's something where it turns out it wasn't true or something like that. Either way, I'm sure he believes that because it seems to be the philosophy at
I'm sure this guy's not going to come and be like, hey, guess what? Everything that's making us number one, I'm going to fucking bomb it.
Every game required loot boxes for progression.
Yes. Yeah. Every game is literally just you open the game, it gives you a loot box, and you have to wait 10 days or buy another loot box. And that's the game. There's no gameplay. And
games know $70 a piece. We charge more and make you buy continuously every single time you play the game.
I'm not against $70 games.
I'm not either. We've talked about that.
Shut up. Tell us the last whatever the goddamn you were going to tell us.
So we have a story about the Direct and how it happened. But I had this idea for a new segment called Non-News of the Week, which is basically a story that's just like, why? This isn't news. It's not news.
Non-news.
It's ridiculous to say this. And I have an example story, then I have a legit story I want to talk about that's not news.
Okay.
The joke story is, this is true, Nintendo Switch outsells the Wii U in France. Which is such a weird qualifier. It's just not a market that's like super important globally or anything like that. And it was like 911,000 to 830,000 or something like that. Kind of versus. Yep. That doesn't matter. It's just another one of those, people will click on this. Let's post it. So that's an example of like what you should expect from this. Like stories are just like, it's just non-news. So I found this one, and the headline would make it seem like that actually sounds like it's pretty big news. And you read into it, it's like, that is ridiculous. That is so ridiculous. And it's Nintendo Switch is selling 3 times faster than PS4 in Japan. Here's how they qualify it, though. They say, keep in mind, PS4 came out in November 2013, right? So they say that in the time frame of March this year, or March of last year to December of last year, the Switch sold 3 times more than the PS4 did in March of 2014 to December of 2014. Which is ridiculous. Like the
not
PS4
even
had
like
been out
the launch months. It's
exactly. It's a few months after the
months.
launch months. It's just some random months. Yeah. So it's just such a not fair comparison.
They're just
ridiculous.
looking at how we need another Switch numbers story. Somebody make up some stupid metric.
But then you look at the source for this, and it might be my favorite name for a Nintendo-specific blog ever.
Okay.
Because, of course, this came from a Nintendo-specific blog.
Right.
It is from Nintendo Soup.
Oh, my God.
So that's the non-news of the week, that arbitrarily the Nintendo Switch outsold by 3 times the PS4 in Japan.
Oh, my God.
That's not news. People, please read articles.
Can't handle it.
Because that headline was very clickbait. Yeah.
Yep. Everything's clickbait. Get out of my house. Clickbait.
Get out my face. But we do have a real news story to end this off now. And
I
think this is a pretty big story. I think this is awesome. They had a direct. Nintendo had a direct last week.
Are you kidding me?
They had a direct, I know.
And I didn't watch it. I'm just kidding. I watched it.
And it came out of nowhere. And I want to give Nintendo kudos for pretty brilliant non-marketing. That was great marketing.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Go into it, though.
So, what was your thoughts?
My thoughts were the community. First of all, Nintendo said nothing until the direct dropped, aside from their couple of like trolling people who were overhyping it themselves.
That's what I loved.
But it's like everyone else built up this direct so much artificially for no reason, off of no evidence. And then people are like, "Oh, that was such a kind of poopy direct." I was like, "Well, that's your fault." You built
totally
this thing
those people's
up
fault. Absolutely.
and fucking speculated 500-page NeoGAF threads and. Like, that's all your fault. Nintendo did nothing other than, like, throw out these teaser images because you were being ridiculous.
So, the reason I think it's good marketing is that there were so many leaks. There were an incredible amount of leaks for, back in, I think it was November, they were saying, hey guys, there's going to be a direct on January 11th, which is when it actually happened. There was a leak from EA talking about their game, is it Fee or Faye? I still can't remember.
Faye,
okay. And they had another leak about A Way Out. And for some reason, it was a fake leak, but that also said January 11th. So that kind of got people riled up about it. And, they said in the Way Out one that something in January for Nintendo, they're going to have announcements. And I can't remember what it was. But there was another thing from EA saying it's going to happen this day. And there were all sorts of like the insiders talking about January 11th. People were getting super hyped about it. And then the news is kind of, okay, well, usually they announce it a few days beforehand. That was the consensus people had made, was a few days before a direct, they announced the direct. And then those days passed and nothing happened. And then people on Reddit were freaking the fuck out. I'm on Reddit all the time, so I got to see this firsthand, and it was really fucking hilarious to see people getting really panicked. And then it was the day before, and we were even texting back and forth going, they need to announce this, because it's quite obvious this is going to happen. They just need to talk about this. They released this picture of Chibi Robo, which is a character from the GameCube, holding a Praise the Sun stance from Dark Souls, or the Platoon stance, and he's on fire. And there's no context, they just released it, and it just perplexed and confused and got people even more upset. But I think it's so brilliant because people talked about it more as a result. There's more communication online about this, and if they had just said, hey, tomorrow, 9 a.m., we're going to have a direct, people have been like, all right, cool. And then only Nintendo like people who are like super hardcore would have been talking about, well, what are they going to talk about? What's going to be in it? They got more people talking about it. So I think that was really successful. It was kind of frustrating.
As our local Reddit observer, that's you. I'm asking you as our local Reddit observer. Are people generally pleased or disappointed by this direct?
So let's talk about the direct first, and then we'll get into that. Because I want to talk about our opinions first, but there's definitely something to talk about there.
Cool.
So let's go into the direct. Let's just go game by game. It was a mini direct. We need to qualify that. It was a mini direct. They made a point of saying that. It was 15 minutes long, and I think they packed a lot of announcements.
I think so, too.
In 15 minutes, there was a lot of stuff in there. So we're going to start with The World Ends With You.
Yeah.
Which was a DS game that got ported to iOS, and now we're getting another version called the Final Mix. It's going to be the original game, and they said there's going to be new story content along with it.
Yep.
After that, we got Pokken. So there's going to be some new Pokemon in Pokken. They're going to have what's called a Battle Pack, which is their DLC, that's coming out in 2 waves. Wave 1 is January 31st. Wave 2 is March 23rd. Then they jumped into Kirby.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
The Battle Packs and Pokken tournament.
Yeah.
So they include 2 new playable characters.
Yes.
Blastoise. And Aegis Strike is how the guy in the video was saying it. Aegis. Now, this is a word I've only ever read in video games. I have never heard said aloud. Is it pronounced Aegis?
Oh, I'm not a Pokemon person. Like I enjoy those games. So I'm not like a super.
It's
Pokemon
something
person.
like RPGs. It's a skill that like gets you a shield and things like that. You see it all the time. Aegis. I've always pronounced it Aegis, but this guy 30,000 times said Aegis. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I'm impressed he said Aegis 30,000 times in 15 minutes. That's really impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, dude could sell things at an auction.
I have no idea what to tell you.
Keep going.
So we talked about Kirby after that. There's going to be 2 new abilities that they showed off. There's an artist ability and a spider ability. The spider ability, I don't know, it's kind of fun. You just kind of like weave your enemies into like a little like cocoon web almost, so they're kind of wrapped up in it. And it also looked good. The game looks fantastic. It's coming out March 16th, so that's going to be kind of the Nintendo game for March, with Bayonetta being February's game. They also, in there, kind of just threw in really quickly that there's going to be a Kirby Battle Royale demo out on 3DS.
Battle Royale. Kirby PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale.
And then they're going to have Dragon Quest Builders demo on the Switch out right now as well.
Yeah.
Jumping in after that, they showed off Hyrule Warriors, the definitive edition of that game. It's going to have all the DLC and all the 3DS content, plus Zelda and Link from Breath of the Wild are now in the game as well.
Did you played that one, right, on Wii U?
I did not. I've never played Hyrule Warriors.
I thought you had played it. Somebody played it.
Nope, was not me.
Oh, well. No? Are you going to get it?
I don't know. I mean, everyone knows who listens to this podcast regularly. I'm a massive Zelda fan, and I just don't know if this is how I want to play Zelda. So yeah. I might not get it. I don't know. But I've heard good things about it. Like, it's definitely.
Did you know it's from the same people who made Dynasty Warriors?
Yes, I did know that. Are you being
facetious? That was a callback to last week's episode when we had the back and forth about Dynasty Warriors.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, that's right. Yeah, I don't remember things. Quick note: this was mentioned after the Direct, but there was a press release from Nintendo Hong Kong that suggested that the game is coming out there on March 22nd.
Okay.
And if it's coming out in China in March 22nd, it's not going to come out later in the U.S. and everywhere else in the world.
So, you don't know that.
Don't know that for sure. After that, we have Mario Tennis Aces was announced.
Okay. This game looks great.
It looks awesome. It looks really,
This game
really
looks
good.
so great.
Just visually looks awesome. There were some things that I want to know more about, but it has a story mode, which was very much missing from the last many versions of Mario Tennis. The last time it's been there was on the Game Boy Advance, I think. So that's really exciting to see. They said 2 things in there that make me go, I'm curious what they mean by that. One is new approach to Mario Tennis. How could you really change tennis? Curious about
I don't know, man, but I'm excited and I like what I see.
Oh, I like what I see too. The other thing I'm like, what do they mean by this? They said, and I wrote this down, new wrinkles in gameplay help read opponent actions. And they didn't really show what that means. So, very curious to see more of this game. But this was one of the better announcements.
Yeah, I've never been really interested in, sports games in general, but even Mario sports, except for I had Mario Strikers Charged on Wii, which is a soccer game, and that was fun as shit. But I'm super, like, him... The story mode looks interesting to me. Like him hitting the fireballs back to the Piranha Plant.
Yes,
like that's the kind of shit I want to play.
Yeah, it's not just like, okay, now you're going to face Wario. Okay, now you're going to face Bowser. Now you're going to face like Peach. Like there's different challenges they're kind of throwing in it. So that looks really cool. This will definitely be a purchase for me. I'm definitely going to get this
2018. One. I will definitely let someone tell me how this is, and then I'll probably buy it.
I'll tell you how it is.
I'm going to let a reputable, trustworthy source who's not high on Nintendo cocaine.
That's not true. I'm not high on all Nintendo things.
You're right. Hyrule Warriors. Did you know that that's developed by the same guys who made Dynasty Warriors?
I did not know that. Thank you for sharing that, Chad.
You're welcome.
So, after that, we have Ys 8, which I did not know how to pronounce this.
Ys.
Until he said it. So, it's Ys 8. Thank God I finally know how to pronounce that game.
Yep.
Because I'm never going to buy it.
Also, I looked it up. It is pronounced Aegis, although Merriam-Webster lists Aegis as a secondary pronunciation. But it is Aegis.
Well, Ys 8 is coming out in summer, and it's a JRPG.
A Jerpaga.
And more exciting news, Mario Odyssey is getting an update.
Yeah! Tell me about hide and seek with Luigi.
I think this is awesome. So it's called Balloon Mode, and basically it's a waste of Luigi in the game, first of all.
Yep.
I would have loved to have played as Luigi, but instead he stands there with a balloon and lets you navigate a menu to play a mini game. But the
he
minigame
basically
looks
is
cool.
just a marker where you're like, cool, you have to start hiding from this. He could have just as easily been a pinpoint on the map.
Yeah. So basically the idea of the game is there's two parts to it. There's find it and hide it. In hide it, you have 30 seconds to take a balloon and run somewhere in the world and hide it. And then in find it, surprise, surprise.
It's the seek part of hide and seek.
It's the seek part of it. You got to go and find that balloon in that same time frame. And I know it's lame, but I think it's actually a really clever twist on what makes Super Mario Odyssey so good is how you navigate the world and how quickly you can do it. And I think there's going to be some really challenging ones that get hidden just because there are some people who are really good at this game. And I'm very excited to play it, especially because it's free. They're not charging you for this.
Right.
It's
I
totally
think it's
free.
cool that it's an extra. Like if you found all the moons and you're still looking for challenges, like people can create artificial challenges for you to go find.
Exactly. And just the levels are so well designed, and this is going to be good just because of how well the worlds are designed and how quickly you can navigate it.
You know what I'm going to do though?
What?
So you have these 30-second spurts. So I don't know whether you get to like choose, oh, look, Holden hit a balloon. Let me find Holden's balloon. Or whether it just shows you a balloon that some rando hid. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to populate the world with really poorly hidden balloons so that I waste people's time. We're like, oh, I can't wait to find something. And there's like a balloon that's just like on the ground next to them. So people get pissed off. They're like, damn it, I wanted to find something challenging.
Here's my question about it is that let's say you're in the Metro Kingdom, right? Can you go down into like the energy plant below the city? Like, what's your limitation?
Make it there in 30 seconds, maybe.
I don't know. We'll find out. There are 3 more things in that update. 3 more outfits, I should say. There's a knight helm and armor, which looks awesome.
I assume for Dark Souls.
Yep. Which I love that picture is on Reddit of Dark Souls remastered, and then it shows Mario in that armor instead. That was really awesome. And then that's how you have to play the Nintendo version, is you have to play as Mario in that armor. There's a musician hat and outfit, which is going to be like Metro Kingdom themed. And then very interestingly, there's going to be sunshine shades and outfit. Very interesting they use the term sunshine. I wonder if that's a hint at a sunshine virtual console coming out at some point whenever virtual console comes out.
You are grasping at straws, man.
Let's see.
The word sunshine shows up in a game. It
shows up in a Mario game where one Mario game is called Mario Sunshine.
Oh, man.
I'm just saying. That's the first thing I thought of when they said sunshine shades. The first thing I thought of.
And you said, instantly that means it's a leak and there's going to be a game released on Virtual Console on Switch that's not even announced because Virtual Console doesn't exist on Switch.
It means that it could mean that. I'm not saying it definitely does. It could mean that.
Okay.
Very excited, Chad. Shut up. So that comes out in February. So we don't have to wait that long. That's next month. Next they announced, I think, the biggest game of the whole Direct. I was really excited about this game. SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy.
Yeah.
I can't wait to play this game.
In this political climate, all of these heroines fighting.
It's amazing. Me too, Chad.
Yep.
Me too.
Hashtag you too.
Hashtag you too. I've never heard of SNK before, and I got on Reddit, and people were really excited about this game.
You've never heard of SNK before?
Never heard of SNK before.
You've never even seen a game title? It's like SNK versus...
Nope.
I can't think of another one right now. Though.
Exactly.
I think Capcom? It was SNK versus Capcom, I think.
Never even heard of it before.
Okay.
So, I'm sure it's a wonderful game. Never heard of it.
Well, I'm glad that you and your misogynistic views are going to give it the time of day.
So, Mario Rabbids is after that. They got additional DLC, which is going to feature Donkey Kong as a playable character.
Yeah, I'm interested. They didn't actually show gameplay. They just showed a quick little CGI trailer. It's like, I don't know how he's going to fit into that.
So, there were some hints in there, actually. I think I have an idea of what his special abilities are.
Yeah,
First of all, he's going to be the heavier character, so probably have like more health or something like that. Maybe he can't move as far.
Like Mario Rabbid.
Exactly. He throws that banana and it knocks down 3 of the Rabbids. So I think that's his like special ability.
His boomerang banana.
Boomerang banana. He also threw up Rabbid Peach very high up in the air. So I think he'll be able to throw characters farther. Because he's strong. He's Donkey Kong.
He's Donkey Kong. Do you think there's going to be a Donkey Rabbid? Are we going to get the mini boss or the boss of that one level?
And he takes up like 3 cells of the map and you're on it. Yeah, totally. Payday 2 is after that. That's coming February 27th. There's going to be a new playable character named Joy, and he's good at hacking. He's got hacking abilities.
Joy the boy.
Joy the boy. Faye is after that. It's an EA platform game. I wrote down gorgeous. It's really pretty looking.
Yeah, I think because of that, I think a lot of that what am I trying to say, Holden?
I don't know what you're trying to say.
I think a lot of the sell of that game is going to be the experience, the visuals tied with the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be, I mean, it's a platformer, but I think those are what's really going to sell the game and make it beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for that reason, I'm going to play it 4K HDR on my PlayStation 4.
Not getting on Switch, I am so not surprised.
Yeah. But hey, I'm leaning towards Dark Souls on Switch, so.
If I buy Faye, which I probably won't, I'd still probably buy it on Switch. But that's because I like my Switch.
Yeah.
A game I will also not be buying on Switch is Celeste, coming out January 25th.
Celeste. I don't even remember that from it, actually.
It was like 2D side-scrolling game where I guess you're going up a mountain or something like that. I don't know. I didn't quite understand what the game was. But it's 2D side-scrolling platforming game.
I don't know how I missed that. I must have blacked out.
It was really quick. They just showed it off. And then after that, they announced another one of the bigger announcements, and that is DK Country Tropical Freeze.
Donkey Kong Country.
No, it's DK Country.
It's Donkey Kong Country.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so fucking pumped for this.
Because you never had a Wii U, and you love Donkey Kong.
That's right. I love Donkey Kong Country games, and apparently this is one of the best ones. I'm
And
so fucking pumped.
has Funky Kong mode.
Well, Funky Kong is the baby mode. Like, you can't die mode if you play as Funky Kong, but...
I thought that was
Which
really
I guess,
funny.
I mean, yeah, if you're playing with a baby and you're like, oh, you want to pretend like you're actually making a difference in this game too because you're 4, you can play with me, yeah.
That's been one of my favorite memes coming out of this Nintendo Direct is people are just taking any game cover and just adding the corner Funky Kong mode. And everything. They had a cover for Dark Souls Remastered, it's just Funky Kong mode. And I want to play Dark Souls in Funky Kong mode. That sounds awesome.
Won't you take me to
So it's coming out May
Funky
4th.
Kong?
So it's not that far away.
Yeah, May 4th.
And I think this
The
is
shit out of that. I
this
hope
is
there's an online multiplayer mode because then I'm going to buy my parents a Switch and we're going to play like shit.
co-op undocked. But I don't know about... there's going to be co-op undocked. I don't know about online co-op. I kind of doubt it because it wasn't in the original
But
game.
Holden.
Sorry, Chad. You just have to pay for playing
Tropical
tickets to
Freeze
get
will
your
still be
parents to your
single
place.
player or via local co-op. God damn it.
Yep. But it comes out May 4th. So on May 4th, you just fly your parents up to your place and you just play it for a little bit.
They would love that. I would love that. Let's do it.
Yeah, they're going to do it.
Let's
This is
make a day of it.
exactly the kind of game that should have imported.
Yeah.
This is exactly because it's a game that was really, really well received. No one bought a Wii U. I don't think people play Donkey Kong Country games that much anymore to begin with. I don't think it's just in their thoughts a lot. And since there's not so much in the beginning of this of 2018, it has a chance to kind of make a big statement.
Yep.
So we'll see. Then after that was my favorite announcement, and
What was that?
Dark Souls Remastered.
Yeah.
Finally
it
got
was.
announced for the Switch. I've been saying it forever.
I know you have. I'm so happy for you.
You doubted me, but I turned out to be right. It
I'm
happened.
so happy for you. I mean, for 8 months, you writhed in pain and you stressed yourself out, and then they finally delivered for you.
Yep. I writhe in pain so that on May 25th I can writhe in pain and play Dark Souls
That's
on my
right.
Switch.
That's right.
Cannot wait. Super pumped about it. We already talked about it before, so we're going to end right there. So
Yeah.
what were your thoughts on this Direct, Chad?
I thought it was actually a jam-packed 15 minutes, and there was
Absolutely.
at least a solid 5 things in there that I'm looking forward to.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Dark Souls, Donkey Kong, I won't play Luigi, Mario Tennis, DK joining Rabbids, I'll probably go back and play that. And I made up the 5th one, I guess. Oh, Faye, although I'll play that on PS4. But that's cool that it's coming to Switch.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. I'm excited for the same exact games. Donkey Kong Country is going to be great. Mario Tennis is going to be great. Of course, Dark Souls is going to be great. Even though this wasn't a big game for me, this is a game that had a big impact on people online, and that was The World Ends With You.
Yeah.
Lots of people are super pumped about that game. It was apparently very, very good when it came out in the DS originally.
I might be more excited for this than I was for the E3 stuff.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, because honestly, all I can remember from the E3 stuff is Metroid Prime 4 title screen. And that interviewer was like, a Pokemon is coming. I'm going to go back to drawing now. And then they talked about, like, Yoshi and Kirby.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, this has a lot more shit that I'm actually excited about and looking forward to.
And I love the style of it too, just like bam, next thing, okay, bam, next thing. They spent no more than a minute on each game. It was really quick.
That's awesome.
So I liked it a lot. let's get into the things we didn't like, though, because I think we pretty much liked it. Is there anything you didn't like about this?
I don't think so.
Something I disliked. I just think there were some things that were missing that should have been there. And I'm not talking about Metroid. I'm not talking about Pokemon. Where is this online stuff? Where is...
Oh, that's not going to come in the
console?
mini direct.
They need to talk about that stuff soon, though. They need to talk about that stuff.
Yes, but I mean, if you go into a mini direct expecting virtual console and online service, like, you're setting yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disappointed by any means. I'm not saying I'm like, this is horrible, Nintendo's failed, they're ruined. But I think they should have at least mentioned, like, and we hope to update you soon on this stuff, or something to say.
That's where I think they should have gotten out in front of the messaging and been like, hey, 2 days from now, we're going to have a mini direct. Don't get your hopes up about online service. That's where I think they failed in the messaging. Yeah, I got people talking about it, but
I can see that. I think that's a fair point. But I think this went really well. And you asked me beforehand, what do people online think about this?
Yeah,
they are so split. There are people who are going,
really?
This is a great direct. Yeah, sure, it was mini. They didn't talk about Metroid. Sure, but there were some great things that were announced. They talked about Donkey Kong Country. Dark Souls is finally coming. Mario Tennis. Like, everyone seemed to have something that they liked. Minus Celeste. Yeah. No one seemed to care about Celeste. But, there are people who are just so pissed that there are tons of ports on Switch, and it's really pissing people off. Is that this is just nonstop ports. I don't want ports. I kind of don't mind ports, depending on what they are, at least. And I think ports are actually kind of best on Switch, because it's not like it's just a better version of the game. It's now a version of that game I can take with me anywhere I go. Yeah. And I think that's what, like, I'm more okay with ports on Switch than any other system.
I think I might want to get into ports a little bit more in general next week.
I wouldn't mind talking about that. I think my initial kind of thought on ports is every console has them. Every single console has ports in the beginning. Yeah. I name me one console that hasn't in the modern era of gaming. PS4 and Xbox One were littered with ports in the beginning.
Super Nintendo Classic.
It's all ports.
All ports of Super Nintendo games. You're right. What was I thinking?
So yeah. There's also a really interesting Reddit post I want to talk about. And basically the question was posed is, when is the next Direct going to be now? And someone brought up this point that whenever there is a mini Direct, within 20 days we get a full-on Direct.
Was it you that pointed that out?
It was not me.
Trying to toot your own horn?
No, it was not me. I did my own research into it and came up with a different conclusion, but I think he makes a really good point. I don't think it means it's a for sure thing.
Yeah.
But I do think it was labeled as a mini direct, which means that Nintendo sees this as something smaller as opposed to a bigger piece of content they could be talking about.
Sure.
And my two thoughts are, I think it's possible. I'm not ruling it out. I wouldn't be surprised they just dropped another direct on us pretty shortly. They
usually do those though for like single game focused ones. Like, hey, there's going to be here's our mini direct with all this shit in it, and then we're going to focus more on Fire Emblem for an entire direct. Not too far after that.
They don't in the Animal Crossing was not called a mini direct. It was just called an Animal Crossing direct. Right. Fire Emblem was just called a Fire Emblem direct. They labeled this one mini direct. So I looked into the list of directs myself to kind of see if that was a true claim or not, and it's true with one exception. The only time that they don't do a direct within 20 days after, or a mini direct, is if they do a series of mini directs in close proximity to each other. So does it mean they're going to do anything? No, but I think it's likely. It could happen. What's more likely is in March we get another direct.
Well, look at that. You guys are already overhyping yourselves.
I think it's more likely. We already have a pretty good idea what the first half of this year looks like now.
I think that's what I like most about how Nintendo's handling themselves right now, is they're like, hey guys, every time we announce something, we're going to take a look at what's coming in the next 3 or 4 months. And that's all we're going to talk about.
Yep.
And then 3 or 4 months from now, we'll talk about what's coming in the next 3 or 4 months.
Which is very similar to what Sony has done with God of War and Spider-Man.
It's exactly the same.
It's exactly
the same. Except they say we're going to take a look at what's coming in the next 3 or 4 years. And then 3 or 4 years from now, we'll talk about the next 3 or 4 years.
Both have their wins. But I think the positive is that, hey, I know in a few months I can play this game. How exciting. What the hell does the last half of this year look like, though? I have a pretty good idea of what Sony's year is going to look like at this point. And they've done a good job communicating that.
Yeah. I think we'll see it at the next big direct that people care about that's not a Kirby-focused direct or something like that.
Yeah.
It's going to be E3, I think. And it's going to be Here's our online service. Here's our virtual console.
At this point,
our rollout plan for it, and it's coming in the fall.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I can't decide if it's just the fanboy in me saying there's going to be a March Direct. They do one every few months anyway. I mean, when the Wii U came out, this is something surprising too. When the Wii U came out, they had a Direct almost every 2 weeks. I didn't even know they had that much to talk about with the Wii U. But the Switch, they haven't been doing them as frequently. But I feel like March, April will be an appropriate time frame to give us more updates on when Mario Tennis is coming out and that kind of stuff. Because we don't have a release date, and they said it's coming out in spring, which is presumably before E3.
Yep.
So we'll see. We will see.
We will see. You'll see, boys. That's Rent. You guys remember Rent?
Nope.
That's still relevant.
Totally.
Is that it for the Nintendo Switch Direct Mini?
That's all the notes I got.
Con leche, escuela mañana. Great. Let's move into our next segment called Subscriber Interrogatives. I think officially tying for first place on most active community member, we now have Fezd IRL tying Michael Schuff, who I think commented on 2 pictures once on Instagram.
That is true, yeah.
Fezd IRL throws another question at us on Twitter. You can do the same thing by tweeting at SplitScreenGP. Asks, has gaming taken the place of any hobbies or sports you used to enjoy?
You know, I was a professional rugby player at one point, and I just stopped when I played video games.
No, you weren't. Maybe you were playing with bees on your rug, but you never left the house, I'm sure.
I had dead bees that played on the rug. That was my hobby.
It was
How did you know?
Beads. Beads? You were playing with beads on the rug.
I thought you said
and
bees.
You were a rug bead. I did say bees at first.
Okay.
And then I switched it to beads.
Yeah, we don't clean up. We just have dead bees everywhere in our house.
It's beads. Bees? Beads. Beads? That's Arrested Development. You're welcome.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you have more hobbies than I do. So I think
Are you trying to say that you don't want to answer this question? And
no, I just don't have as interesting of an answer.
I think as I grow older, because I'm old as dirt now, 27.
So old.
I'm going to turn 28 in a month. Yeah, one of the biggest things that's hard for me is figuring out what to let go of.
Yeah.
And that I have so many interests and things like that, and I just don't have time for everything anymore. And
so
gaming
you're an adult
actually
now.
I know, right? Gaming has kind of taken a backseat. Kind of like the last. I've been more into it since we started this podcast, but before that, it was kind of more of a casual thing. But music is something like making music and writing music and playing music is something that I used to do a lot. That I honestly, maybe the last time I picked up an instrument was 2 or 3 months ago. But it was a conscious choice. No, it was my guitar, and it was for the comedy show that I do every weekend.
Wait, is that a cello and guitar are the same instrument, right? It's the same thing.
Right, you just turn them sideways. Cello,
that's what I thought. Okay, cool.
Cello. I hate myself for saying that.
Oh, that was a great movie, School of Rock.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. Cello.
Yeah. Bad connotation for me now. But, yeah, music has kind of taken a back seat now. I mean, of course, it's still something that I love and that I'll come back to every once in a while, but it definitely has taken a lower rung on it. Sports, since I became fat as a teenager, video games, I'm sure, did not... they might have caused me to get fatter, but Pop-Tarts also did that. But yeah, sports definitely, the
amount of calories in a Mario Kart cartridge is out of this world. You'd be surprised.
You're right. But yeah, I think for 2018, I'm putting behind a lot of things so I can focus on, the last couple of years have really been really big into fitness and CrossFit and gaming and our podcast, kind of putting a lot more and focusing on that. So we'll see some fun things in the future about that.
Oh, yeah.
So yes, music has kind of taken a back seat.
I've always been an entertainment hobbyist. Like, I just love entertainment in general. So, like, as a kid, I've probably said this before, but I didn't play a lot of games as a kid, mostly just because I didn't have a lot of games. My mom was like, here's your Zelda game for 3 months.
Here are your beads. Go play on the rug.
Here are your beads. And I played Zelda so much, the bees were more interesting at a certain point. So I played those. No, so I didn't play tons of games. I definitely played games. Like, I was definitely still a gamer, I would say, but it wasn't huge. And once I kind of moved out, got my own place, and was able to play games more often, I kind of just delved into that a lot. But I've always been writing. I've been writing is forever. Like my dad is a writer, so I've always just kind of been like father, like son. And so I've been doing that almost. Geez, I have a story I wrote when I was 8 years old, so like a long time. And that kind of has gone down. I still think about writing. I still write occasionally, but gaming has kind of been one of my main things at this point. But as life gets more complicated, it's like I'm back in school now. That's kind of taken over a lot. But definitely since the podcast started, I've ramped up gaming quite a bit.
Nice. Hot.
We have this segment where we have to talk about games we've been playing every week. So I gotta play games every week.
I honestly, that's been running through my head. I was like, shit, I've only played Earthbound this week. I gotta play something else. I gotta have something to talk about. And I'm glad I do. It's actually exposed me to a lot more stuff.
Oh, totally. Absolutely.
Cool. Speaking of more stuff, what should I play this week? I think I'm going to play a little bit more Doom VFR. I'm going to have a 4-day weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, where I'm not going to be working at all.
Ooh.
I'm just going to be sitting on the couch being a game potato, playing a whole lot of new stuff. You know what? I might jump into Sunset Overdrive on my Xbox.
Finally, it's about time. I think we recommended that on your Xbox
checkbox. Yep. Yeah. Boom. We'll bring that segment back.
Yeah.
What are you going to play this week?
Probably more of The Witness. Because I just started playing it like a few days ago again.
Yeah.
I'm really, really into that. But I have to like binge play Earthbound at this point.
Yep.
So I really have to play a lot of that. But I kind of was putting it off for a little while and I started playing it. And I've had a huge grin on my face for every second of playing that game so far. So don't think it's going to be an issue playing a lot of that game in the next 2 weeks. Yeah. But yeah.
So speaking of, that's our game of the month for this month,
yep.
Earthbound. Make sure you play it before January 31st, because that's the end of the month, and then that game goes away forever. It gets locked in Disney's vault.
It'll be erased from your SNES Classic. It won't even be there anymore. It's gone.
Do we have a topic pick for next week?
No, but you brought up ports.
Let's call it ports. What are your opinion on ports? How has that changed since the console generation started? I think that's a good thing to kind of talk about.
Totally, yeah.
Listen for ports. Again, shout out to Fez IRL for interacting with us and giving us fan interaction and hope and light in our lives, and that people are listening to us. I love you all. Have a great week.
Bye.